Welcome back to Send Noods, Not a Food Podcast. If you're new here, I'm Kristen here with Ashley, and we're so excited for today's episode.
If you guys haven't listened to our first two episodes, you definitely should get on that. Our last episode, we talked about being in a sorority, recruitments, the pros and cons, and we ended off the episode talking about partying and boys, but one thing we didn't talk about was the bar.
Yeah, we ran out of time last week talking about the bar, but this week we definitely want to talk about one of our favorite stories about the bar/club experiences. But before we hop into that and today's topic, Ashley, are you doing anything fun this weekend?
Yeah, so I found myself in a really bored mood. As you heard from the first two episodes, I'm in school, and so I didn't really want to study for my exam. So I re-downloaded Tinder. So I'm actually going on a date Friday night with some Tinder man.
Yeah, she the other day, she texted me. I was asleep. I go to bed really early because I have work early in the morning, and she texted me when I was sleeping, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so bored. I re-downloaded Tinder," and I didn't respond. And then an hour later, she texted me again, and she's like, "Well, looks like I'm going on a date Friday." And then I wake up. And I'm like, what the heck? This is an hour, not even an hour later. She's like, she finds a guy to go on a date with. So I was like, wow, that was really fast.
It was very, very fast. And it should probably be a red flag. But I wasn't.
Yeah, that is a red flag.
Yeah, I just wasn't really thinking about it. But the reason why I was freaking out that night texting Kristen was that I was analyzing everything and wondering if there are any red flags that I should be aware of.
Yeah, there definitely are a bunch. She kept texting me, and I was like, why are you seeing this guy? But here, go out. How about I mention one red flag?
Okay, well, first let me just say, I don't have a type at all. That's gonna be another episode that we talk about, having types and being with people that look the same and doppelgangers and everything. But this man does not look like any of the other men that I've been with. I want to say that right off the bat, because that was the first thing Kristen said. She was like, wow, he's different.
Yeah, he's definitely, I was shocked because that's definitely not the type that she usually goes for.
It's not that I have a type, it's just, let's just say the selection at UConn was very much the same.
Yeah, that's true.
So the first red flag, it wasn't necessarily a red flag, but he super liked me. So normally I don't really I don't really care if they do, but because he did, I gave him an extra 0.2 seconds to look through his pictures, obviously. And his first photo looked pretty cute, solo photo, whatever. And then he had pictures with him with animals, and then this part is what gets Kristen and I not heated per se, but he had pictures with two girls. They're both Asian. And then his last picture was with two guys. They're both Asian, which is totally fine. If you have Asian friends, that's no big deal. But my thing is, if you have an Asian fetish, I don't want to be your little anime girl, or I don't want to be your schoolgirl, from a porno. We have dealt with people that have that mentality. So, yeah, I just thought that's kind of weird. In his bio, his occupation, he wrote fortune cookie writer.
Yeah, to go back on the super liking, I feel like whenever I was super liked by someone on Tinder, it usually was the ones that had an Asian fetish.
Yeah.
It was all over their profile. Later on, they'd be like, "Oh, what are you? What,
Oh my God, what are you? So, where are you from?" That is another thing that we could talk about a different episode.
That is super annoying.
That's our favorite question for people to ask us. Not just men, but people in general.
Yeah, and with the pictures with the Asian girls, it's just obvious. He super liked you. He has a picture of these two Asian girls. It's just, and it's just he likes Asians.
This kind of leads into next week's episodes. Make sure you watch out for next week's about my story and and situation with my doppelgangers.
yeah, it's gonna be a good one. So,
but yeah, so that was probably the biggest red flag, was just I don't really want to be part of that type. And another thing was he was kind of pushy. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have much experience with online dating. I've only gone on one Tinder hookup or Tinder date. That was kind of a disaster. And I had one Bumble thing, which was a disaster. So I don't know Like, is talking for an hour and then already making a date, is that fast? Like,
I think that's
I
fast.
mean, yeah, he was kind of pushy. He kept asking for my number, and he kept saying like he wanted to meet up in real life. He said like we should get drinks or go jam out and take a drive. Like, what the hell does that mean?
That's a red
Like, that
flag.
sounds like a
Like he's either
kidnapping.
saying, yeah, it's just kind of saying like, oh, you either want to get drinks or we won't waste any time. We'll just go,
Yeah, like he's
hook
like,
up,
let's just like go
basically.
for a drive. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Yeah, and then like I also asked if he was like a student, if he was in school, if he had a job, and he didn't elaborate. He just kept saying like, "LOL, like I work." And then he mentioned twice. He's like, "Yeah, like I'm working on my Magic Mike show. Like maybe I could show it to you sometime." Like, what the fuck? Like, what does that mean? Are you trying to like I don't know. Like I just thought it was weird. And then like
Yeah, you're still going on this date.
yeah,
So,
and then like at the end also we were talking on like a Monday, Tuesday. Am I supposed to text him during the week? Or like no?
I feel like lightly, I don't know. I feel like if you don't talk to someone like throughout the week, it's kind of assume like it's not happening. I personally, that's what
That's
I
what I
think.
feel like. Like isn't just weird if Friday at like 7:30 I just text him like, "Oh yeah, are we still on?" Like is that like I feel like that's weird.
Are you still talking to him right now?
No, I haven't talked to him since the last time.
Yeah.
Isn't
Well,
that
good
weird?
luck with that.
Yeah, and then like the last thing he said was like, "Okay, cool. Like it's like 7:45 like at this place on Friday night. Like I'll put it in my calendar." Yeah, but what kind of goodbye is that? I feel like only like white mom like bloggers say like I'll put it in my calendar. Like what kind of man does that?
I don't know. It's all, raising red flags. Like he has an Asian fetish. He sounds like he just wants to either kidnap you and kill you or just bang.
I
So
mean, I'm gonna have to
so
charge my stun gun. Like I have to give my roommates my location. Like especially it's a place like I just moved down here. Like I don't really know anything, but
yeah,
we'll
definitely
we'll
stay
definitely
safe.
update about how
Yeah,
this
next
date
episode
goes.
we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so enough about my non-existent love life and red flag and possible kidnapping. We're gonna go straight into today's episode about being the other woman. This is such a huge thing. Like I love talking about this, and I think people can definitely relate to being the other woman, being cheated on. Not just the other woman, you can be the other man also if we have any male guests listening in. But we have a
Hmm.
friend that had a crazy experience. Um, and Kristen's definitely going to do most of the talking because she was there with her. But I just want to give some context in that. So, the fall semester of our senior year, it was my last semester. And so, because it was my last semester, I wanted to go out a lot. And we did. We went out every single weekend, but we stayed on campus. And it was always us three. It was me, Kristen, and our friend Jenny. But Kristen had a boyfriend, so like she wasn't gonna do that much. Like she would talk to men, whatever. Like nothing's gonna happen. I had a man that I went
Yeah,
home.
like
Yeah,
socialize.
socialized, but I had a man that I was hanging out with that I always went home with at the end of the night. And Jenny didn't have anyone. She's just a little shyer. Um, and so spring semester
But still
came.
fun.
Yeah, still fun. Always, she's the life of the party. Um,
Yeah, she is.
Most of our stories are because of her.
Yeah.
So yeah, so spring semester came around and I'm not there. I'm at my internship in Virginia. I'm so sad. I'm so heartbroken that I'm not there with everyone. And Kristen and Jenny decide to go off campus to be big girls, go start adventurous things, and not stick to the same three bars that we've been at for the past like 4 years. And this is the thing, like I think we're so in tune with each other even though I'm 10 hours away. I get up randomly. I think this was a Friday night at like 2 in the morning because like I need to use the bathroom. I sit right when I sit back down on my bed, I get a text from Kristen. I'm like, what? She's like, are you up? I'm like, yeah. And then I was not expecting to be staying up the rest of the night hearing what went on. So why don't you
It
pick up?
was, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, how Ashley was explaining how we never really left campus. It's because, I mean, we were, college students. We want to go out with other college students and see, like, people we know or, meet people our age. But
So another thing is like our campus is we call it Cowtown, and it's just far from everywhere. So if we wanted to go anywhere off campus, we had to pay what, maybe like a $20 Uber.
Yeah. So yeah, that limited us because we were in the middle of nowhere. The nearest city to go out, like where like a real adults would be, is like $20 Uber or more. So we mostly just stayed on campus. Plus, like you see people your age. So
And like I said, I had a boy, so it was just easier for me to just like go home with him because he lived on campus. So
yeah. So I think this particular weekend, my birthday just passed. So I think we wanted to go to a
it was
club.
because so our birthdays are 4 days apart, and we were supposed to go out for our birthdays, but I missed my flight home. I cried about it, so we couldn't go out. So
Yeah.
the I think it was the following week, right? Or maybe 2 weeks
Yeah, it
later.
was the following
Yeah,
weekend.
you two decide to go out when we couldn't have.
Yeah, so we decided to go to this club at a casino. I know it sounds, not lame, but that's the only things we had around in Connecticut. So, yeah, so we decided to go to this club in the casino. I think when we got there, like cover was free for girls before a certain
Or like
time. I think
11-ish.
yeah, I mean, I know that we thought we had to buy tickets, but then we got there and they didn't ask for money. I don't really remember. So yeah, we were there. We went. It was like winter time. We were wearing dresses. It was really cold. But yeah, we get there. I'm just gonna try to kind of speed through the beginning part, but I'm trying to like I don't know, make it a little story time. We get there. It's kind of not. No one's really there. We immediately get a drink, and right when we get a drink, these men were invited to like a VIP table.
They
But it's
pounced
like
on
weird.
them.
Yeah, but the thing is, the bottle girl invited us, like not the guys. The bottle girl was like, "Hey," and the bouncer was there, and he's like, "Oh, do you guys want to go up to this table?" And then we get there, and it's like super weird because the two guys sitting there, like didn't really say hi, so we just like awkwardly like sat with them, and she's like, "Oh, don't worry, like they're very nice. Like they come a lot all the time,
What a
like they're
wing
regulars."
woman.
Yeah, like she's really doing them a favor. But yeah, it's fast forward. I wasn't really feeling it. My Jenny was super drunk. Like she was not making any sense. I don't know
The thing is,
how, but they had
Jenny normally is the drunk one out of all of us, which is totally fine. It's just like it's
yes,
different when you go out with 3 people versus 2 people. It's different when you're at a place that you know well, and this place they don't really
yeah,
know at all.
yeah, and they had free, not free. The guys paid for like these bottles of champagne, but obviously it was free for us because we didn't pay anything. So we were drinking champagne, but I don't even think that she drank even. I thought she only had 2 glasses.
Does she
She
pregame?
was very drunk. Maybe a little bit, but we didn't pregame that much because I don't really remember how we got there.
We
Honestly, I
Ubered
don't remember if
there.
we
No,
Uber. I
your
think
brother drove
we
you.
Uber there.
No, I think your brother dropped
Yeah,
you
I think my
off
brother. Yeah,
because you
I
guys were
think he dropped
planning
us
to
off.
Uber back home.
Yeah, I think my brother dropped us off. So I don't think we pre. I think if we pregame, it was only a drink because I don't,
And
or maybe she
also,
put
this
like 2 shots or
place
something.
it's kind of far. Like it's not that far, but like there's no point pre-gaming if you're gonna sit in the car for like a half hour, you know.
Yeah, I didn't pregame, but I think Jenny pregamed.
Jenny always
So
pre-games.
yeah, she does. She's a good time. But is she, and yeah, whatever. So moral of the story of this small story is we're not feeling it. These guys are not they're not cute. But, Jenny was really drunk and I I know that she's really drunk. One, the guy talking to her, he was like, she's not making any sense. Like, your girl, she's not good. And I was like, oh no. But then one second, she comes to me and she's like, I really want to kiss this boy.
Okay.
And
Another side note. When we go out, us three, Kristen is usually the one getting a man to get us drinks. Okay. And Jenny is telling me, Ashley, I just want to kiss a boy. So I'm used to this. But like I said, like Kristen's normally busy doing like other things, like getting us drinks, talking to men, whatever, and I'm just like dealing with it, which is totally fine. But this is the first time Kristen like I think this is the first time that Kristen really
yeah,
had to deal with it, and the first time that Jenny like actually did something about it. Because normally when she's
yeah,
telling me, I'm just like, yeah, like go ahead, but she never took initiative.
yeah. Yeah, so she said that to me and I was like, Jenny, he has braces. Like this, but I
Which isn't,
like.
we're not saying if you, man, like, dude, if you have braces, whatever,
But come on, like you, like he would. I'm sorry, he wasn't cute, and he had braces, and I was like, that. But I'm saying this part because that's how. Okay, I just want to put in context how drunk she was. Like she wanted to kiss a man with braces, but I don't think she could. She couldn't see his
see.
braces. She's very drunk, and she's like, oh no, really? So I got us away. I was like, we're going to the bathroom, but we never come back. But we did not make it as far as maybe 5 feet and Jenny is stumbling, and I was like, oh no, because she was stumbling all over these people trying to get by, and I saw this bouncer like look at us, and I was like, oh no. He starts coming towards us, and I knew that we were getting kicked out, and yes, and then we were escorted out of the club. But this was nothing new, because I will quickly say that me and Jenny got kicked out of a club at a different casino the summer before, so it was nothing new, but I was still very embarrassed.
She normally doesn't. Like, when we're on campus,
No,
she's
no,
normally not like this. So I think it was
no.
just,
It's because we're in a different
yeah,
environment.
like she was excited. Because I've
Yeah.
never really had to deal with her that drunk. Like,
No, this really happened. So, yeah. So yeah, we get we get escorted out of the club, and at this point, I'm trying to talk with the bouncer outside of the club. I'm like, "Come on, like I'm fine." And he's like, "Yeah, I know you're fine, but your friend is not." And I was like, "She's fine," when really she really wasn't. She was stumbling a lot, and she wasn't making any sense.
And like I said, this Kristen does all the finessing. Like, every time we go out, it's Kristen that does it. I'm usually like holding Jenny up, like, pretend you're good, like, let's not get in trouble.
Yeah, so I was trying to like talk with the bouncer, and I was like, yeah, like we're fine. And he's like, okay, if you come back in half an hour and she's sober, then you guys can come back in. And I was like, okay, because I was mostly upset because we just got there. It was like super early. It might have been only like 9:30 or 10, and that's so early. We only were there for like 20 minutes, so I was like kind of sad that we got kicked out so early, because we drove like 45 minutes all the way there, and then we'd have to Uber back, like, and not waste, but like spend more money. So I was kind of upset about that. But I think 20 minutes go by, and I think Jenny was, a lot better. Like, she wasn't like sober, but she was a lot better. She wasn't someone like I told her to, walk in a straight line, and she did it. So we got back in line, and the bouncer was actually super good about it. Like, he was like, oh, like, he was trying to talk to her. Like, I was like, she's fine. He was like, oh, let me see if she's actually fine. And he let her in. So we got in. And it was, at this point, it was like, maybe it was like, I don't really know what time it was, but there was way more people there. So we get in, we like go through the crowd, and I kid you not even 20 seconds of being in the club and sitting there, I see these men approach us from the corner of my eye. And one of them, like these two men, one of them comes to me, one of them talks to Jenny, and the one guy with me, like, does a little pickup line. I don't know, yeah. I think it wasn't really a pickup line, but he was like, oh, has anyone told you you're beautiful tonight? And I was like, yeah, actually. Because I was like, well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my god.
But someone else actually did. Yeah, I don't know what Jenny's guy said to her, but literally maybe 10-15 seconds go by, I look over, and they're already making out. So yeah, and so Ashley mentioned this before, but I had a boyfriend, so
girlfriend.
I wasn't, that was not what I was planning on doing that night.
Kristen is very good about that also.
Yeah.
Like, the entire time that we go out, like, Kristen is dating the same man, and so she, like I said, she does a lot of the finessing, she does a lot of talking, but when it comes down to if someone has to, like, suck a dick or whatever, like, that's usually what I do.
So someone had
to, like, Jenny was pulling it, so
yeah.
Someone had to do it, and normally it would be me.
I want to say
I wasn't there.
That when you're with like only two people and one of them is occupied, especially with their friend, I feel like uncomfortable if I'm standing there by myself. So I kind of wanted to be a little bit social with this friend, so I had something to do, like, someone to talk to, someone to at least stand next to. It's hard. And I didn't want to like reveal that I was, not that I was going to do anything, but I didn't want to reveal like, oh, I have a boyfriend, because I think it would just make it really awkward if he like left and I was just standing there by myself, because I only came with my one friend. So I kind of just like socialized. I, didn't really give interest, but, try to, like, talk, especially because his friend was, with my friend. I guess we'll fast forward to the end of the night when the club basically, kicks everyone out. So we go get our coats. And I'm like, I'm not really that drunk. I don't really try and get plastered because I am, like, one, I'm a lightweight, and two, I feel like I'm one of the more responsible friends.
Hey, I'm pretty responsible.
You are responsible. I feel like we're both responsible, but especially with only being with two people.
Yeah,
like
someone has to be sober.
Yeah, like if Jenny is, really not in it, then I have to be the one who, like, is like, okay.
Yeah,
like,
and when you go out with us three, like, even if I'm half, like, drunk, like, and you're, like, half drunk, it still equals one sober person.
well, yeah, I guess. So we go and get our coats from the coat check, and I think I was talking with Jenny, who's also my roommate, and I'm like, okay, we have to get an Uber, like, start getting ready to get an Uber, and these guys, like, were with us, and they're like, oh, no, we'll drive you, like, and I was like, no way, because I was like, aren't you guys drunk? And one of them was like, no, I'm, like, completely sober, and the other one was like, yeah, me too, and I was so against it. I was like, no, but I don't know, I guess they kept saying it, and I think the cheap part of me, the cheap Asian inside of me, was like, oh wait, free ride, because the Ubers would be like $45, because we were 45-50 minutes away. So I think the cheap side of me was like, oh wait, free ride, and they're just gonna drop us off. I don't know, guys, do not do this. Do not go.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah, do not let random strangers drive you home.
45 minutes home.
Yeah, that is just really dangerous, and obviously, like, thinking back, like, that's not smart at all. Everyone we told the story, they're like, why did you do that? That's so dangerous. And it's very sketchy, and definitely don't do this.
But one thing, I think also, because the men did say they went to the same school.
Yeah, so one of them...
They graduated.
So one of them went to UConn.
So they knew how to get back to UConn.
Yeah, one of them went to UConn, and I kind of confirmed that he did, because I was like, what dorms are there? And he named a couple that, are unique to UConn. So I was like, okay, like, he sounds legit. So that made me, I guess, a little bit more comfortable with him driving us back. But yeah, I don't know why. I just kind of, like, I was like, okay. So then, and Jenny was like, yeah, she's all for it. And so they drove us back, and mind you, there's no relevance to this, but they had, one of them drove a Mercedes. So, we were all like, oh my God, like, that's a
Wait, so
nice
did they
car.
have one car or two cars?
There was one car, but my guy, not mine, but, like, the friend, was like, oh yeah, I have one too. And I was like, I don't know how both, I mean, they were kind of old. During, when we met them, the guy talking to me was like, oh, how old are you? And I told him, and then I was like, how old are you? He's like, 25. And I was like, oh, how old is your friend? Because I want to know, because I know Jenny was not going to be asking him all these questions.
Oh, hell no.
And then he's like, I don't really know. And that was the first red flag. He did not know how old his friend was. And I was like, aren't you guys friends? And he also told me earlier.
Or are you 40?
Yeah. So he was like, like 25, 26, I think. But he told me earlier that he like has known his friend for like 7 years, and I'm like, how do you not know?
That's like me knowing Kristen 10 years and say,
how old are you?
Know how old she is.
Exactly.
Like, what's your last name?
So that was like a red flag, but I was like, okay, like, that's kind of weird, but whatever. So yeah, they drive us back to UConn, and at this moment, I was still thinking that they were just going to drop us off. That was very stupid of me. Very naive, very stupid. A little bit before they drop us off, we get to campus, and I don't know why, but I was like, I really want to drive the Mercedes.
Oh my God.
So I convinced, and the guy driving was her man, Jenny's man. Like, so Jenny was in the front with her man, and I was in the back with the friend. So I convinced her man to let me drive, and I just drive like around the block, and everything was good. So
she was so excited.
I was really excited. Because I was like, wow, what a nice car. It was very nice. But
doesn't your boyfriend have one?
What?
Doesn't your boyfriend have a Mercedes?
No, a BMW. But
oh, sorry.
It's not the same. I think, well, that car was way newer, so. But I mean, I was just, playing around like, oh, I drove a Mercedes, but it was no big deal, really. So the kicker
Later
of
on
this,
becomes a big deal because then that's all I get. Actually, I drove a Mercedes. I drove a Mercedes. I'm like,
that
what
was,
the fuck?
okay, that was like, for what, 1 minute, and then I stopped talking about it.
Okay, whatever.
So the kicker of this was I'm in the driver's seat, and I go to like, stop the car in front of our apartment complex, like kind of like not parked, like kind of like when you drop someone off and you just like, put the car in park, but you get out of the car and then they get back in the driver's seat and they drive away. It's not a parking spot. I go and park there, and Jenny's man looks at me because he's in the passenger seat, and he's like, "Oh, can you park in a parking lot? Preferably one that you could like park overnight." And I was like so shook because I didn't know. I was like, "Oh no." And I didn't know what to do because I was like in the driver's seat, like it's not my car. Like I don't know, it was like 3 a.m. So I started freaking out. So I was like, okay, like I'll just go park it really quick, and then I'll just try to figure out what to do because I did not want these men to stay over. Like I just didn't think of that. It was so stupid of me not to think that they would try and like stay. So
We're
I go.
So naive.
I know. I go and park it. I'm like I'm not drunk at this point, but before I was. So I go and park it.
And you drove?
I did not. I was not drunk. I was pretty sober.
Okay.
I was pretty sober most of the night, but so I go and park the car, and they all get out of the car, and I'm like stressed.
Come on, kids, let's
stressing
go.
out. Like I didn't like straight up say like no, don't come, because like maybe there's walk us to the door. No, that did not happen. We go into our apartment, and it's like a building, so we go up to our floor, and I'm like I'm like panicking, thinking of any way for them not to come in our room. And Jenny is in La La Land. She is holding hands with her man, in his arms, and I'm
normally I would be so for it because, like I said, like Jenny doesn't really go out with men, and the few that she has been horrendous, which will be another story. But so normally I would encourage this. However, they live in a studio apartment.
Yeah, we live in a studio, aka we're in the same room. There's no bedroom door. There's no living room. We're in a small studio. Our beds are like a foot away.
There's no living room. It's them like their beds are like the shape of an L.
Yeah.
They almost are
My
touching.
desk is the only thing between our beds. So they didn't know. The men didn't even know, and I didn't really think about tests. Like, oh, we don't have like separate rooms. But so I come up with
probably better that way.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it mattered.
It would have been better because I would have well, we'll talk about this later. But so I come up with a little thing. I'm like, oh guys, you guys have to guess our apartment room, like, number room. And if you guys guess it in 3 tries, then you guys could come in. If not, your guys are out. So they're like, okay. And then they run around the hallway trying to pick the room. And obviously they get it wrong because there's a lot of apartments. So I'm like, okay, like you guys are leaving. Jenny here.
This bitch.
This girl. She was just very, like, she was so opposite of what I was feeling. I was, like, trying to get them out, but she was, like, having a great time, so free-spirited. She, like, was like, no, guys, this way, and, like...
Oh, my God.
So she basically kind of led them to our apartment, even though I was, like, giving her the eyes of, like, no, do not show them our apartment. She shows them our apartment. So they obviously were like, okay, let's go in here. But right before we go in our apartment, I was like, guys, you know that we don't have our own room. It's a studio. And then, like, the look in both their eyes just, like, drained. So then we go inside. This is so bad. It's just 2 strangers going in our apartment. Not good. Again, I do not recommend doing this. So, we are in a studio. Our beds are, like, next to each other. So, immediately, Jenny's boy hops in her bed. And, again, the whole night I wasn't giving the friend any signs of anything, so he was a good
friend.
Like, obviously he was into me, like, he, kept doing hints, but I never, like, gave it back, so I think he knew his boundaries, so he immediately, like, sat on the kitchen table and didn't, like, try anything, which was good. So I think he was, like, falling asleep because it was really late, and I think he was bored. But instantly, like, we get inside, and I'm just, like, super uncomfortable because these 2 men are in our apartment. One of them is in my roommate's bed. And then randomly, Jenny's boy just turns off the lights. And I'm like, what the heck? Because I was hoping that they would just leave. Like, I couldn't say, like, oh, guys, like, it's getting late, leave. So I started texting Ashley. I think this is about the time when she woke up to go use the bathroom.
Wait, what are the odds that when all this is happening, I happen to, like, have to use the bathroom?
Yeah.
And so Kristen is freaking out, texting me, and she's like, these men won't leave. They won't leave.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, at this point, I'm so wide awake. And I'm like, get them out. And I'm like, make sure you sleep with your stun gun with you, with your knife. Like make sure there's nothing valuable in your room that they can steal.
Yeah.
Like, I was so worried about them. And then at one point, I got not mad, but I was just like, what the hell's wrong with Jenny? Like, why is she doing this? So I call Kristen, and like, obviously Kristen can't yell or express like
Yeah, I can't,
her
like,
feelings
yell.
on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing for her to text me in all caps and like 5,000
Yeah.
messages in a row, and it's another for her to talk to me on the phone. And she's just like whispering, like, yeah, like they won't leave. This one guy, I think he's like dead, like he's like asleep in the corner. Like, do I give him a blanket? Do I give him a pillow? And I'm just like, yeah, like he's being a good friend, might as well. And she gives Jenny the phone, and I'm just like, hey Jenny,
Because I was like
Ashley,
trying
like,
to convince
I miss
Jenny
you.
to kick because she was so like into it, you know. But she,
Yeah,
mind you,
so,
she was pretty drunk, so it's not really
so
her.
I thought like if I talk to her, like maybe she'll kind of wake up. But she's just like, oh no, we miss you. Like, I wish you were here right now. And I'm just like, are you good? Like, you want this man in your bed right now? She's like, yeah, I'm totally fine. I'm like, what? Like, she was so nonchalant about the whole thing that I could not believe. I'm like, how are you so chill? And I'm like, your roommate, your best friend, is literally 2 feet away from you.
Yeah,
You
she
have a
feels better about
strange
it now.
man in the corner of your apartment, like asleep. Like, how are you okay?
Yeah,
Whatever.
so
They both fall asleep. Like, whatever.
Yeah. So I personally text Jenny, and because we're in the same room, but I can't, tell her I
Get
can't
that
tell her
man
how I
out.
feel in front of these men because it's just like, I don't want to do that. So I text Jenny, and I'm like, girl, like, do you want these guys to stay? And she goes, I don't care. And I was like, well, I think that they shouldn't. That they shouldn't stay. And she's like, yeah, like, okay, like you can kick them out. So I turned back the light on because, remind you, her man turned the light off. Just goes and turns.
Who does he think he is?
Who does he think he is? So I turned back the light on. I'm like, guys, like, you guys, like, one of the friend was like dead asleep. So I'm like really talking to her man. I'm like, guys, like, it's getting really late. I have to wake up really early tomorrow morning. I think you guys should leave. And the look on his face was like so like not. He was upset, but he was like sad. Like he was like, oh, okay, I understand what you mean, as in like, oh, you're kicking me out.
No shit.
Yeah. So he like didn't get up, but he was like, okay, and then he was like, but actually, like it's really late. Can I just stay? Like we can just stay. Like, we won't do anything. I promise you. And then he kept saying that, and he wouldn't, like, I was like, I don't know. And then he kept saying that, but he wouldn't leave. Like, it was literally like, no, basically. And I felt so, like, trapped, and I was like, okay, like, I don't want even though I should have just been like, no, get the or get
I was
out.
so worried about you guys.
Yeah. So
I'm like, he's gonna do something, or they're gonna steal something.
I guess I wasn't really, I don't know, I just didn't want these random men, because obviously who wants random men? I mean, he was with my roommate, so, but we're in the same room. Like, that never happens.
Literally 2 feet away. Like, I sleep over all the time, and I'm like, Kristen has like a full-size bed, so like I'm sleeping in her bed. I could just sit up and I can see Jenny in her bed, like sleeping.
Yeah.
Like, we're quite close.
Yeah, so he promises they won't do anything. And I know my roommate, Jenny, is a, very innocent girl, so I was like, yeah, they won't do anything. So I let it slide.
The most she's done the whole night is just like make out with this man, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't think anything would go on. So I was like, okay, fine. So, I go, it's really late, so I fall asleep. I wake up around like 5 a.m. because so the friend eventually moved to the ground because he was at the table falling asleep. So we just like moved him, not me, but his friend was like, yo, get on the ground. And we gave him a blanket and like a pillow. So he is snoring at 5 a.m. so loud that I wake up and I'm like, what the heck? And after I hear that snoring, I can't fall back asleep. I don't know why. But I kind of hear interesting things going on in the bed next to me. And I don't want to say exactly what's going on, but I think people can, infer.
Assume.
And let me tell everyone this. I did not think what was going on was actually going on. I kind of thought, little playing,
You can just say it.
Little first base action was going on.
Yeah.
I didn't, my roommate Jenny is super innocent and she wouldn't do something with me in the room.
No.
Never.
No, she wouldn't.
No.
Or
so,
even if you weren't in the room, I don't remember when was the last time that she's done anything with the man.
Yeah. So it was kind of out of the ordinary. We never go home with guys ever. So it was kind of like,
we don't go home with random men.
Yeah.
Like, if we go home with someone that we know.
Yeah, that's someone, safe. So this is he was a stranger. So we were like, oh, I was texting Ashley. I was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. But,
She's like, I hear weird noises.
Yeah, but she would never do anything like that. So we were both really tired. So eventually, after a while, I fall back asleep. So the next morning, I'm up so early because I'm like, oh my God, I barely got any sleep last night. These men are on the ground. These random men are on the ground. One's hanging with my roommate. So I think it was maybe 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. And I think the guy on the ground, the friend, was up because I looked over and he was on his phone and I felt so bad. So I eventually got up and I think Jenny was up a little bit, or I think she was stirring. So I sat up and I think she might have woken up, but the friend was up and I kind of was oh my God, this is so weird. And I think 3 of us were up. So the only one who was sleeping was Jenny's boy. So I kind of was okay, everyone, let's get going. Wake up, let's get going. Because I was get the heck out of our apartment. You guys should have left last night. So then I think her boy wakes up and, he may or may not have been wearing no clothes. We don't know because the friend pointed that out and I ran to the bathroom just in case, because again, we do not have any doors in our apartment. It's just an open studio apartment. So I went to the bathroom and I came back a little bit later, and this man, I'm okay, you guys gotta get going. He looks at all of us and he's how about we all get breakfast? Let's go. Let's go. It's a beautiful day out. And I was what the heck? No. Me and Jenny were no, you should leave. So it took a long time. This guy's slowly getting ready, slowly finding his socks, slowly finding his shoes. And it's oh my God, can you be any slower? So then, eventually, when they're about to leave, he looks at me and the friend, and he goes, can you guys turn around while I say goodbye to her? And it was just what? What is this? Yeah, are we in middle school? So me and the friend just go in the kitchen, because it's kind of an L, so you can't really see. When you're in the kitchen, you can't see much to where Jenny's bed was. So I guess he was kissing her goodbye, and then I think he asked for her number, but she didn't. So I think he asked for her number. I have a video of it. I took a video because gotta make evidence. But so then they leave. Finally, they leave. Right?
Okay, wait. I'm gonna jump in now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say my part, and then you can explain.
Okay.
So all of this was going on. I was kind of checking in on them throughout the morning, but obviously all this is happening. So Kristen's just giving me an answer every 3 seconds, an answer every few hours or so. Oh, okay, update, they're still here. Oh, update, they left. And so I finally it was Saturday morning, so I went to the gym and went to grocery shopping, and I came home and I get a text saying they didn't just do first base. They had a home run. And I'm just what? And so they FaceTime me, and you can...
Yeah, so when they leave, I was like, I'm like looking at Jenny. I'm like, wow, like what the heck happened? Like, why did that happen last night? Because I remember everything. I don't know if she remembers everything, but she does. And she's like, Jenny's like, Kristen. And then she tells me what happened, like, you know, what I heard last night. So I was like shook. I was so shook. But for the most part, I was shook because it happened like a foot away from me.
2 feet away. The only thing that's in between Jenny's bed and Kristen's bed is Kristen's desk. That's maybe what, 3 feet, 4 feet long,
Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah. So I was so shook. And plus, like, Jenny is an innocent, very innocent, you know, doesn't really do these things a lot. So
No.
me and Ashley were just so, like, when I called Ashley on FaceTime, I was like, Jenny, tell Ashley what you did last night.
Yes, it felt like Kristen was like a mom, like telling her kid, like, okay, explain what you did wrong.
Yeah.
And Jenny was just like, I mean, you know, things happen. I don't even think she told me what happened.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't use the word. She
Yeah.
just said, like, I don't really remember, but,
Yeah.
like, yeah, we did stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
So,
Like, this is something, not that I would sleep with anyone with that, not that I would sleep with someone with my roommate right next to me, but, like, we would expect me to be the one to sleep with a random person.
yeah, of us three, probably Ashley. So, you know, after that happens, I was like, did you, you know, use protection? And she was like, no. So that meant,
Of course
you know,
not. They're under her covers trying to be quiet because her roommate is right next to her and the guy best friend is on the floor. Of course they didn't.
yeah. So I was like, okay, like you have to get plan B. But, you know, this man that you know, were with, he needs to pay all, if not, okay, half, if anything.
Takes
so,
two to tango.
Yeah, so I have the number of his friend because I think he asked me for my number like in the car, so I just gave it to him. So, and I think he texted me like, "Hey, his name was Eric." So I text Eric, the friend. I should have called him by his name the whole time, but yeah, text
Whatever.
Eric, and I'm like, "Oh, can you ask your friend to text my friend, aka Jenny, because he needs to help her buy like plan B or something." I said, I was very straightforward. I was like that, and he's like, okay. And then I think he told his friend, and he was like, oh, he says,
Also,
good.
Kristen asks, "Can you send me the picture of me driving the Mercedes?"
Okay, I don't even think I got that video. I think actually,
I know you asked.
I think he might have. I vaguely feel like I got the video, but whatever. So I think I asked they took a video of me driving the Mercedes, but whatever. But yeah, the friend said, yeah, for sure that he'll buy or he'll help pay for the plan B. So, okay. So a little bit goes by, and then he finally texts Jenny, but he doesn't say anything about the plan B. He goes, oh, hey, how are you? And then they kind of have a little conversation, but nothing about the plan B. And at this point, Jenny doesn't she will never see this guy ever again. But she just wants him to pay for the plan B because obviously, like, you do the deed, you know you have to pay up. So she mentions it like, oh, like, can you Venmo me half, or I have to go get plan B? And he doesn't respond for the longest time. And finally he goes, yeah, can I bring you my like cash? I don't have any like Venmo. And then me and Jenny are like, how do you not have Venmo or any like PayPal, anything like that, Cash App? So I tell Jenny, I'm like, oh, you should ask him to can you download like Cash App or PayPal? And she goes, and so she texts him that, and then he doesn't respond. And then I think a little bit later, I don't know, I don't think he ever responded. I can't remember, but basically he wanted to come see her. So he's like, oh, can I bring it to you like tomorrow in person? And I don't, like, that's so sketchy. Like, one, are you only coming because you want to, you know, hook up again? Or are you even going to bring the money? So I think he's just using it as an excuse to see her again, but like Jenny did not want to see him again. So that was like not an option, even though I guess she could have gotten probably cash, but also like this guy's a stranger. So yeah, that wasn't going to happen again. So he basically ghosts Jenny. Like, he doesn't respond to her because I think she responded with, I don't know, he asked her a question, so she responded, and he never responds. I think a couple, like 3 days go by, no response. So we were like mad, because I had to help Jenny buy Plan B because she's a broke college
Wait,
student.
did you get it at CVS or did you go to Student Health Services?
We went to, it was a Sunday. It was like a Saturday. So Student Health Services was not open on the weekends, so we couldn't get the discounted Plan B.
So advice for like any college kids, like it's really, really awkward, like going to Student Health Services asking for Plan B, like I definitely did the walk of shame. But it's so much cheaper than getting it at CVS because I also bought it at CVS, and it's like I think it was like $5, $10 at Student Health Services, while at CVS is what, like $50.
Yeah. CVS, they're like the Plan B act, like it's called Plan B. It's $50. I think we got like the CVS brand, so it was like 45 or something. But anyways, yeah, I had to help her pay for it because she didn't have any money. So we were pretty pissed because he ghosted her and he owes her money for this because he, he
takes two to tango. Yeah, at least half.
But like, come on, like he basically initiated it all. So that's all we're gonna say about that. But he ghosts her, so we get kind of mad, and I'm like, I'm gonna text this friend. So I don't remember what I think I texted the friend like, oh, that's weird that your friend doesn't have Venmo or Cash App or any like money payment apps.
You guys aren't that old.
Yeah, like why? Like everyone has one, and if you don't have one,
in this day and age, everyone has one.
Yeah, so I text a friend, and then I think he was like, "Oh, I can vouch for him. He doesn't have any of that." But I think I was like, "Oh, like your friend basically ghosted." I think I subtly said like, "Oh, like he didn't respond to my friend." So right when I texted him, the friend like Eric, that Jenny's man texts her, and I forgot to mention this, but Jenny did not remember her man's name at all. So the first day when I was texting Eric, I was like, by the way, what's your friend's name? And then I think he texted me like, oh yeah, he doesn't know your friend's name either. And he's like, his name is Alex.
Ladies, get each other's names.
Yeah. I think he never really said his name though. Like I feel like he probably never said his name. But this will play a key role until later in the story. But yeah, so his name is Alex. Jenny's man's name is Alex. So Alex finally texts Jenny, and he doesn't respond to her text. He says, hey, what's up? But he doesn't respond to her, because I think Jenny asked him a question or something. Doesn't respond, but says, hey, what's up? And Jenny's like, what the heck? Like, where's my money? So basically she steers the conversation into, can you give me that money? Give me money for Plan B. He sends her a Plan B coupon. A coupon that you can find anywhere online. How's that gonna help? It's been like 4 days. So she could have already, had a child. So that doesn't help at all. But also, like, that's not even your money. You just found this coupon online that's like $5 off. Like, that doesn't cover anything. So that was ridiculous. We were pretty pissed about that. But I think he ghosts her again. I don't think he responds to her last text. So we were, pretty mad. And we try to find, I guess it's normal, but, when you try to find their Facebooks, anything about them, because we were like, how old are they? Like, or at least how old is Alex? And just try to find anything about them.
The voice of reason finally came out. And they started doing their research.
Yeah, so we try and find, like, we search, like, the first name, and we search, because we know where they live, so, and it's a town in Connecticut, so we search the first name and town in Connecticut, and nothing comes up. We try and search,
obviously, like, that's so broad.
Yeah, and Alex, Jenny's man went to UConn, so we tried to search up Alex UConn. That's very broad, but we tried our best. Nothing comes up. So it's a dead end. And I also try to do the Snapchat trick where if you save the number and then you go on Snapchat and go to add,
it would probably pop
it'll
up.
Come like recent. If you added like a new contact, it'll pop up and have like their name or their Snapchat username. So I saved Eric's contact, and Snapchat popped up, and I was super psyched about it because I was like, yes. But the username was like something weird. So I typed in the full username, and it's not a real name. It's not like a full name. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like this username isn't, maybe half of the first part of the username, and this is the last name. Nothing comes up, so it's also another dead end. I just at that point, I think I thought that the username was like nonsense. It was just made up or something. So I just moved on. We kind of give up on finding any information about any of them because maybe we just thought that maybe they were very old. They were old. I mean, 25 isn't that old, but like they're old, so they don't have any social media, or maybe because we don't have their last name, so it's harder to find. And I think a week goes by, and I'm on Facebook, and Facebook suggests friends, and usually it'll suggest like someone that
honestly,
you may know.
Thank God for the Facebook suggests, because this leads to my story for next week. Like, thank God.
Yeah, Facebook is a lifesaver for everyone.
Like, yes.
So I kind of just want to say this really quick. So, Facebook suggests like people that you may know. I think this was kind of a miracle because I didn't know anything about any of them. I just knew like a first name. And so the first person that pops up for my Facebook suggests is Eric, the friend I was talking to. But the thing is, his name was not Eric. His name was something completely different. So I click, because the profile picture is clearly him, and I click on the profile picture, and it's some other, like it has someone else's name, and I can't see anything on the profile because if you're not friends with someone, it doesn't show you. It only shows like a couple pictures. It doesn't show. Private. Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, he's private on Facebook. So, but I confirmed with Jenny. I'm like, is this blah blah? I can't believe it. And she's like, oh my god, that's him. Like, it's definitely him. But it's a different name. But I will say these guys were, Eric. He told me that he was Middle Eastern. So I was like, okay, that Eric was his American name. And, this is his, like, real name, whatever. That's not sketchy. I go to Instagram to see, and I type in the name on Facebook, and an Instagram profile pops up, and it's public, thank God. So I'm scrolling through the pictures, and I find a picture of him with Alex at the club that we were at. This was, like, 2 years earlier, but it was the same club that we went to. So I'm like, oh my God, I hope he tagged Alex. So I click on the tagged, and he was tagged. So I go to the profile that Alex was tagged, and his name was not Alex. And and his profile picture was him and a girl. So
oh my God.
So that's instantly like he has a girlfriend. So, and his name was not, Alex. So we're like, what's happening here? Both their names aren't their real names. So me and Jenny are freaking out. We're like, what the heck is happening? Like, these guys gave us fake names. Like, what type of thing are they pulling off here?
Okay, but the thing is, people do that all the time. Like, we would probably give people fake names also. However, just the fact that they came over and that they did all of this, I think that was the shocking part.
Yeah. That they went so far as to, like, give fake names and everything. So I go back on Facebook and look up Alex, or, his name isn't really Alex, but look him up. And we found him, and it said, like, he went to UConn and everything, but it's, his profile picture is him, but his cover photo is him and this girl.
Oh my God, I'm getting triggered by this story.
So he is with a girl in the cover photo. But when you click on, so he's private, you can't really see much about him. It's only, you can see he went to UConn and his profile picture and his cover photo. If you go in the cover photo, there's a bunch of comments, and they're all in Arabic, sorry. They're all in Arabic. So Facebook has a feature where you can translate roughly, and it translates a bunch. It's like, congratulations, beautiful couple, like, like, all of them were really mostly congrats. So that immediately made us think, like, oh my God, they're married, they're engaged, whatever. So Jenny is like, all into this. So she's like trying to find this girl on Facebook, but it's really hard because, you can't see much. We don't know her name. So Jenny's like searching all she can, and I think it was like later in the night.
She put the last name.
No. We couldn't really find anything because we don't know the first name. We only know his like first and last name, but like.
Yeah, didn't you search his last name on Instagram?
No. So what happened was Jenny was going through who liked his profile picture, and she was going through every girl that liked his profile picture, and like clicking on her profile and seeing.
People probably think we're crazy.
Yeah. No.
But the thing is, you need to do this.
Yeah. So she went through every girl to see if it looked like the girl in the cover photo. And she finally came upon this one girl who, gosh, she didn't really think from the small picture that looked like her, but she clicked on her just in case. And when it opened up, this girl's cover photo was of Alex. Like, it was like the same profile picture. So we're like, oh my God, like, this is the girl. We take her in, we run it through Instagram. And Instagram, lo and behold, shows us she's private, but her name on Instagram is Mrs. Blank, his last name. So, and the emoji is like a ring or something. So we're like, wow, she is married to this man. And we're freaking out.
Where is she?
Oh,
where is she?
And her Facebook profile
side note
says that she's currently like studying in Syria. So she's not in America right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is a married man with a wife back in his country.
Yeah.
And he slept with a random dumbass college student with her roommate next door.
Yep.
Not next door, next to them.
Yep. So basically we find out he's married. He has this she's beautiful. She's gorgeous. And we're just like, how, like, why?
Why would you
do this to your wife?
How?
Just for some, like, one night stand type of thing. And plus, like,
dude, use your hand. Yeah. Like, are you serious?
I mean, I felt really bad for Jenny because, like, this guy ghosts her and, like, doesn't pay for Plan B, and then all of a sudden you find out he's married.
Jenny doesn't get, like I said, Jenny doesn't really do this stuff. She doesn't act on these things like with boys, like she doesn't. So this is probably the first time in a while that she's done anything.
Yeah, so it was a shocker for both of us. We were just like we were just in shock. And then I know we told Ashley and she was like, what the heck?
I told them to message the wife.
Yeah, so this is a problem. I guess we want to talk about, like, should you message the wife, the girlfriend?
Yeah.
And I think it's like, I don't know. I personally feel like, I know a lot of people won't agree, but I feel like you shouldn't. Like, you should just, unless you're like, you've been married to a man and you find out he has, another wife, or like you've been dating a man for like 2 years and you find out like he's had a wife for like 4 years instead. I think that's different. But if you, I guess, in a one night stand type of situation, you find out he has a girlfriend, I don't know.
But he's a cheater.
He is a cheater, but
at the end of the day, he cheated.
Yeah, but is it your place?
As far as
is it your place to not break the relationship, but like to bring it up and like cause trouble? Not that he was the one who cheated. Fault. Yes, I understand, but are you in the position to do it?
He probably has done this so many times before. Like, shouldn't the wife know? Her freaking Instagram bio said Mrs. whatever. Like, it seems like she's so happy, she's so excited to be married to him. And for him to betray that, like, how can you do that? How do people lie about that?
Yeah.
You have a loving wife back at home, and this is what you do on a Friday night.
Yeah, it was
I'm disgusted.
Yeah, we were disgusted. We I guess we were going back and forth, me and Jenny, on if she should message the wife, because I think we were leaning toward yes, but I think in the end, I think she got scared and she didn't want to cause any trouble, and also I think we were both scared if the wife wasn't gonna believe her. Or like,
I mean, if she doesn't believe, she doesn't believe. Like, but you did your part.
Yeah, I think we were also scared that they were gonna come back and like, because they know where we live.
Yeah, because he knows where they live. Oh my god, I'm getting so triggered by this story.
Yeah, so I didn't think that was gonna happen. Plus, we live in like an apartment complex, so it's like they can't like exactly get into our room. But yeah, we were scared that she would tell her husband and then he would come back and like hurt us. But that was like an extreme situation. So we never. I think, Jenny never DM'd the wife, but I think we kind of all wish that she had, just so, because we don't want men to get away with that stuff.
No, like, I can't. I feel so bad for the wife.
Yeah.
Like, I feel terrible. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a long story that took me so long to say. I think I kind of wanted to like add every little detail because I thought it was a funny story. But yeah, that was the story of our good friend Jenny. That's not even her real name, but yeah,
Well,
Jenny.
yeah, it's not her name, but I'm like, we love you to death, obviously. Like, it's just, that was probably the wildest story of that semester.
Yeah. And I guess her situation was probably the best situation that could have come out of being the other woman, because she only met this guy for a couple hours at nighttime, so it wasn't like she committed all this a relationship when
no feelings were involved.
Yeah, so she wasn't hurt. Obviously I think she was a little hurt by getting taken advantage of everything, which hurts a lot of people.
Also, yeah, I think this is a part of us, like the romantic, like little girl. One of our best friends, she also kind of did the same thing, but she ended up dating that man that she slept with. So I feel like there is that part of us that are like, oh, like if they can work it out. Not saying that Jenny wanted to date this man, but there's definitely that part of us. They're like, oh, it's not uncommon to start off as a one night stand and then like end up talking.
Yeah. It's very, yeah.
But
it's not uncommon, but never really happens.
No, like that one friend that we have, like, none of us saw them like actually committing and be still dating right now.
Also, I want to add that we think that this man, Alex, quote unquote, is like 30, 35. And let me tell you, we're like 22. So I think at the time, Jenny was 21. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was right after our birthday. Our birthday's before Jenny's.
Yeah, so she probably was with some man. He was probably like 30, 35. We don't know how old he is to this day, because we still...
And also, we look very young.
Yeah. Yeah, we all look very young. So...
like, there are some girls that they're like 21, but they look like 27. Or you have those 17-year-old girls that look 25. That is not us.
No.
Like, we are 21, 22, looking like we're 15.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about the story.
So this is going to be part 1 of the Being the Other Woman of our podcast. And next week, we'll have part 2, and this is going to be my personal story. And the ironic part is, this all happened. Jenny's story literally happened a week before my story.
Yes.
And I told, we're going to introduce my man as Navy Boy. I told Navy Boy this story, and Navy Boy went off saying that Alex was a dick, he was a jerk, he would, like, why would you ever do that?
Yeah.
So keep this in mind for next week, everybody.
Yes.
Like, Navy Boy judged Alex hardcore when I told him this story.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting story as well, and I'm excited. I don't want you to go through it again because it was a sucky time, but it's going to be
oh my god, it was a catalyst to my mental downgrade. It definitely, I was not invested per se, but he definitely shook my self-confidence a lot. Like, that whole experience. It's a funny story. Yeah, I love telling
it's funny.
Story.
We'll get into it next episode. But thank you so much for listening to this episode. We had so much fun recounting.
We love living our past memories.
Yeah, because obviously we're in quarantine right now, so we can't really go out right now. So,
but we also want to give advice and hope that you don't make the same mistakes that we did.
Please do not go home. Do not let sketchy men that you don't know drive you home.
And we were lucky.
Yeah.
Kristen and Jenny were lucky.
Yeah.
But we do not promote this behavior at all.
It really was stupid. And yeah. So, and you see consequences because, we... at the sacrifice of
karma
paying,
is that
karma.
He's married and has a loving wife.
Yes. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Tune in next week or next episode for part 2 of Being the Other Woman.
Thank you guys again, and make sure to always send your nudes.